And welcome back to part 38 of the Final Fantasy VII Remake, where we're getting close to the end now, guys. We're actually really nearly there. We just got to get through this boss gauntlet, basically, and we're there. For some odd reason, also I hit an invisible object there, which is why Cloud ran like into something and circled around it for a second. I think it was one of the phantoms I ran into, one of the whispers. They have another bench just there from the other one. Like, you're not going to backtrack to the previous one for any reason whatsoever. Aye. But anyway, when you go up this ladder, you're going to have a reasonably lengthy cutscene, and it will lead straight into the next boss fight.
Sephiroth!
Everyone okay?
Hey, get your man.
He got away.
About time we made our escape too.
Sure you want to do this personally, boss?
If it ain't Rufus Shinra, heir to the throne himself.
Yep.
Stop.
The hell I will! We can finish off the family here and now!
Take Aerith and get out of here. I'll buy you guys some time.
I can stay here, back you up.
Barrett. I'm asking you. Please.
Fine. Have it your way then. But you better be right behind us.
You're a soldier, aren't you? Which, of course, would mean that I own you.
Ex-soldier. I quit.
Secure the others. Just the two of us. Well, maybe three.
Let's get this over with.
The president's son, it's Rufus Shinra, the vice president, and to be honest, now is the president by technicality. This is straight up the best fight in the game. I'm putting the final boss to one side because the final boss, as I've said before, is like its whole different beast. But this is straight up the best fight in the game. I fucking love this fight, and the thing is, everyone does. Everyone gets to this point. It doesn't matter how much they struggle with it or how quick they figure it out. Everyone struggles with this boss fight, but reaches the end of it loving it. The big trick with this fight, and you won't realize it straight away because it's a little bit sneaky how they hide it, when you assess them, you'll realize that they have no weaknesses, but they have things that they are lesser resistant to. Darkstar the dog is your top priority for phase 1 and 2, because if you attack Rufus, it will heal Rufus fully each time. So it's your only option, it's your only way of actually being effective in this fight. Once you get it halfway down, the helicopter will fly away and you'll enter into phase 2, where Rufus will gain some new tricks and Darkstar will start to become more prominent. The easiest way to deal with this fight, get sleep on the dog, cast sleep because it's only lesser resistant to it. When you put it to sleep, it will sever the link between the dog and Rufus. That's how it works. When the link is severed, you can only then build up the stagger on the dog. Also, if it uses guns akimbo, you get a little caught off guard like that because you can't unless you've got Counter-Strike ready to go, I don't think you can do anything about it. Because yeah, there, like, it immediately breaks it off. The easiest way to do with phase 1 and 2 is stagger the dog when it's a little bit further away from Rufus, and then every single time you get ATB, triple slash, because then you will keep Rufus away from you whilst you deal with the dog. In phase 2, he will get a lot more gun happy, so it's a little bit harder to get away with it. But if you can be consistent and get in that lucky pattern, this fight's a joke and the strategy is identical in hard mode. That's the most beautiful thing. And we're not even got to the genuine most beautiful thing of this fight. Phase 3, you can end it literally in 20 seconds. There's something called the 4-part plan. And it works in hard mode and it's exactly as effective. Rufus is greater resistant, but not immune, to stop. What the game means by this isn't that it's a percentage chance, is that if you cast stop on him during a reload, when he's having to reload his gun, or during a dash, because he's going to start dashing around a lot in phase 3, it will then click. And it will get it. But if you do it whilst he's aiming at you or anything else, it will miss. So right now, there goes Darkstar, we're now breaking into phase 3, now it's just me and Rufus. The 4-part plan is simple, because he doesn't remain staggered for long when you get the stagger, and I'll explain how to get the stagger in a second. For step 1, cast haste on yourself. After that, you can build up your ATB, yada yada. When you've got max ATB, step 2, get a stop off on him. The moment you get stop, start wailing on him to get your ATB back up to ATB 2. The moment you get ATB 2, step 3, braver. When you read the assess of Rufus, the game tells you that the only way to stagger Rufus is to use a very specific skill in a very specific time. What it means is either during a reload or during a dash, hit him with braver. If he's stopped, it will count as him being in a dash during all of this. Once you get the stagger, immediately whack up to 2 ATB again, use Infinity's Edge, you have just enough time to catch it before the stagger ends, he will die. It will end the fucking fight immediately. The only reason why I don't do it here and just show you the whole stop and braver strat is because I actually wanted Rufus to be able to, I wanted to showcase some of Rufus' skills. But yeah, on my hard mode playthrough, and every playthrough since I learned that, I have always done the 4-part plan. I've always haste, build up to ATB, stop, rack up to ATB, braver to ATB, Infinity's Edge, the fight's over. It's genuinely that simple. The moment you get that stop off and you land it, it's kind of hard to time because you have to catch it during a dash or during a reload, and it's easier to try and catch during a dash, but at the same time you've got to kind of preempt it, which is how I got it there. Yeah, I just kind of expected, because that's how it's supposed to work. That's how they expect you to do it on your first run. But you see here, I try to use it, but because he's not dashing, he resists it. It doesn't do anything. It's only during a dash or during a reload he is vulnerable for it to work. Alternatively, if you drag it out and just keep on guarding everything so you build up a limit, Ascension will also instantly kill him no matter what. Rufus is a really fun fight, but it's real short.
I could end this, here and now.
No, not quite. Tonight marks a new beginning. For Shinra!
You gotta be better than this. If you're gonna play the hero.
Think they can manage on their own?
You've seen them both in action. You know they can. Besides... What was that? Gotta believe they made it out.
I hope so.
Damn it.
Hey,
Screw it. We gotta go back.
Hey.
What, Red? Get down!
We're cool. Everything's cool. Barrett! Not again! You can't stop me! For Biggs! For Jesse! Tifa! And Barrett too! I'm sorry, Cloud. Just tell me that I made a difference.
Hey, still in one piece?
Yeah, somehow.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me! Okay, you asked for it, man. Open wide! And suck on this!
get ready.
I was born really red.
And from the best boss fight in the game, we have, well, one I'm not as keen on. And it's actually going to take the rest of the video for me to take this thing down. Because I just don't have a good setup, unfortunately. It's not... You could... The biggest contrast in how much I love the Rufus fight and how much I don't love this is the length of the battle themselves. Where I got Rufus down immensely quick. Even though I deliberately delayed some things, because I didn't triple slash the shit out of Darkstar to keep Rufus at bay to end phase 1 and 2 super quick. And I didn't do the 4-part plan. I only explained it to you in the other one, in the final phase even. That fight was still insanely quick of how quickly it flew by, right? Well, this fight takes the rest of the video. If you're expecting us to do, like, start the next chapter of this video, we're not. I'm genuinely not kidding. The arsenal takes the rest of this damn video. I spent forever on this thing. So just bad setup to getting what I was supposed to do, and just some things taking forever. The main thing is that you need to get rid of these drones first of all. If you get them weak enough, Red 13 can jump up and do like a very specific attack on it, which will guarantee a stagger. But when you're not targeting it, your main focus should be whatever powered weapon it starts charging up. Every time it starts charging up a weapon of some kind, you can target the weapon specifically and break it. This fight, especially in hard mode, was a nightmare to me, because this still is chapter 17. This is still the chapter that started way back before we started the drum. So at this point, you're going to be extremely low on resources. Aerith is probably going to be very spent because of Genova. Barrett Barrett is the only one who might have got off somewhat lightly, because the only fight the major boss fight he was engaged in was the mini boss against the brain pod things and the first half of the Swordipede. He wasn't in the Genova fight, and he obviously wasn't in the Rufus fight. So I suppose you can have brought it out. The main way I would try and rig it for yourself to make it so you still have resources for hard mode. For the brain pod, use Cloud and let him use magic for that, because you only needs enough magic for sleep for Rufus, so you're going to be doing most of that fight without magic. Have Swordipede just wail on it until it moves away to the second phase, because it's not a big chunk. You can just wail on it and get away with it. Phase 2, let Tifa lead with the magic front, and let Aerith just use more of her standard stuff and her weapon skills. But let Tifa lead on the magic. When you get to Genova, alternate between Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith as evenly as you can, so Aerith will still have a bit, but at the same time, you're not dragging out Genova, because that fight will take forever, and she will become a greater expenditure on your resources if you let her. Rufus is the Cloud fight. The Arsenal is the Barrett fight. That's the way I kind of handled it when I went through hard mode. I made it so Rufus was entirely because Cloud can handle Rufus with physical skills. I said you only need sleep for the first two things, so 2 casts. If you make it so you have enough magic for 2 casts of it, if you ever don't miss it, you can just pause, retry fight until you get it. Meanwhile, in this fight, Barrett should be your primary magic dealer, since he will probably be the only one with a decent amount of magic, whilst Aerith can survive off of the remains you had by balancing it out with Tifa and Cloud. So what I did is that I put Prayer and all Materia Cura on Aerith, because her healing magic is far stronger, while I had Barrett with Thundara and Thundaga to do the main meat of the fight for the Arsenal. But once you deal with this thing, yes, you are finally done with chapter 17. This chapter that I still firmly believe should have been split in half. I feel this chapter should have ended when you left the drum, and this should have been a different chapter just for these boss fights. But once all the drones are defeated, you enter the next phase, and it'll come up saying it's weak to every element. That's not necessarily true, especially not for the wheels. But the idea now is that you're trying to actually break those wheels, because if you can bust them, it will build up the stagger greatly on the actual beast, and then you can use the stagger to harm it. I'm clearly missing something, and I couldn't remember what it was, and so it ends up dragging out this fight. All of the wheels have a very specific thing that you can use to break them easier, and I just can't remember them. I don't know whether it's like when you break the weapon, the wheels get a lower resistance, because they kind of do here. Like, you can kind of see like Aerith's getting more damage done. So I think it is something to do with that, but as a general rule, I don't get too far with breaking these wheels for a long while. If you can, get a Blizzaga on it instead of a Thundaga, just because it's got a bigger range. So the only reason why I say if it's can is because I said fire and ice have to travel, so if there's something in the way, it will hit that instead. And just for the sake of showing it off, I bring in the Fat Chocobo. So I believe every summon in the game, except the one that we couldn't get, and ignoring the DLCs, is shown off in this in my playthrough, which I'm glad, because it means less work for the post game when I come back after my Christmas break. Which, as I have mentioned many times before, but now everything's recorded and edited, I can go into more detail. It will actually end not on the 24th, but the 23rd, because I managed to edit things together to make it so the finale can squeeze in more than I thought it was. I managed to make it one video less. So yeah, that's a plus. And if I couldn't have, I probably could have squeezed in a little of the start of the next chapter into this video, but I kind of was like, nah, I want to make it so the next video starts on the fun, crazy shit, because the final chapter of the game is some of the most bonkers, really fucking fun and thrilling content the game could possibly offer, and rightly so for, you know, the final chapter of the game. It should be something that blows your mind and captivates you, especially because, you know, it's part 1. They want to make sure you want to get part 2. So what better way of doing it by making the final chapter of this game absolute bonkers And that's as far as I can really describe it, because I don't want to spoil it, obviously. But shit's about to get really crazy starting next video. The final 2 videos of the project, both of them have some of the craziest, most insane shit of the last generation of gaming. And I say that wholeheartedly. It's so goddamn fun. And it really depresses me to read the news that the PC version of the VII Remake is falling under the same trapping as way too many Square Enix PC titles, and that it's very weak. Similar to Nier Automata back in the day, similar to, well, most PC ports, it's not great. The PC port is literally the PS5 version thrown over to PC with zero effort extra put in to maintain or what's the word I'm looking for? Make it compatible with people's PCs often. You know? Like, it's just the PS5 version with some bare essentials, like pick your graphics setting, pick your frame rate setting, but no quality of life adjustments, no expanded settings options, no real anything, and it wasn't optimized for most people's PCs. So I'm watching Digital Foundry videos on it, and it's like taking major frame dips just from people spinning the camera at 1080p on a 3090. You know, on like the strongest PC hardware you can get on the market, and it's not even running at the highest graphical fidelity, and it's suffering, and it's struggling. Like, they get to Chapter 3, they enter Sector 7, and the entire sector slums is a stutter fest, and I'm like, ugh, that's really depressing. Because it's bad enough, like some of these amazing games on PS4 from Square don't have it, but literally their best-selling game of last generation, you couldn't be bothered to get that fucking right. I know it's not can't be bothered, it's more they don't know how to, and instead of reaching out to a competent third party, they keep on deciding to do it to themselves. And it's, oh yeah, we'll do it, and then they do it poorly. It feels like literally the only good PC versions we've got from it are the very odd times where they let a third party do it, like the Final Fantasy VIII remaster. The Final Fantasy VIII remaster, from what I've heard, had a fantastic PC port. And I'm kind of baffled. It genuinely is baffling to me that Square Enix haven't changed this policy, because it was the most criticized thing about Nier Automata. Is that Nier Automata is a phenomenal game, which I would love to let's play at some point, but I have to be in the right mental state for that. For if you've played the game, you know what I'm talking about. I have to be in the right headspace to do that. But its PC port was infamously hideous, and it had to be fixed by fans through fan patches. It literally had to be modded together to work. It was never, like, not until very recently was there any actual effort to fix the PC version. And even then, it was too little too late for a lot of people. A lot of people will still just say, if you can, get the PC version. Thankfully, people don't look at the PC version and discredit the entire game's worth from it, and I hope they won't do that with VII Remake because of that. A bit like it for the same manner, but it was still really depressing to see a genuinely fantastic game get so mistreated on PC, and now it's happening again, and lo and behold, it's from the same company. I mean, yeah, we can look at the game is not only $70 but 70 fucking pounds. So in price conversion, we're basically paying like $100 for the fucking game if you want it on PC right now, which is hideous on its own, but equally hideous because Epic were trying to always promote the whole you'll get your games cheaper here than Steam, and it's like, I can get, if it was on Steam, give it a week, it would have been on sale for 30 quid. So you really trying to sell that on me, but whatever. And also it said price conversion, fuck off. I know, like, the UK doesn't get the worst of price conversion at all. There's a lot of other countries who, you know, don't use US dollars. Poor them. Get absolutely, like, butchered for no fucking good reason and end up paying sometimes twice as much, if not hell of a lot more. When I see, like, third world countries, and that's me being polite, that's not me trying to, like, take a dog and say, oh, they're the poor country. No, I'm just, stick with me here. And it's like, oh, when I see it in rupees, or I see it in, also here's Planet's Protection working in full effect. Bullets count as physical attack, so I'm taking 0 damage from my efforts here. Or, like, I'm trying to think of another currency, but it's slipping my mind. But the point is, other currencies that don't happen to, you know, not be US things, and they literally, it's like 10 times the amount that compared to dollars they end up paying for the same product. through the Epic Games Store. And sometimes Steam, but thankfully Steam tries to actually make an effort to try and address that when they can, even if it doesn't always matter and always help. But it's the fact of the matter, they just put 70 on it and made it the same universal. For me, a lowly UK boy, I'm not paying the equivalent of $100 for that game. And finally, you know, it's the fact that it's an Epic Store exclusive, which to be fair, most people predicted. Square and Epic have a business relationship, so it makes sense that it was going to end up on Epic first. I have enough faith in Square that it won't stay on there forever. I think it will be on there for like a timed contract, because I think that's the entirety of the 7 Remake's lifespan is timed contracts. It was on a timed contract for a year on PS4, but then it got expanded for the PS5 release. Now it's a timed exclusive on Epic, I'm assuming. As we enter the third phase of this fight, where it's going to start becoming a lot more mobile, and I start to get, thankfully, more of a rhythm. The main length of this fight starts to pass us by, as now I actually get to just rip out ultimates, or limit breaks even, get it more pressured more often, get it staggered more often, and then push it into the final phase as soon as I can. And the final phase can last anywhere between 5 seconds to 5 minutes, but if you let it last too long, it will eventually end the fight forcibly. It puts you on a time limit basically, and if you can't kill it before the time limit overs, it will hit you with a AoE attack that will cover the entire arena. And your odds of surviving it outside of having like a revival bracelet, like something that makes it so you always survive it, is unlikely. This is it actually, this is the pulse cannon. In the 4th phase, it will limit where you can go and make it so you physically can't avoid it. You can interrupt it with an insane amount of damage, but it's barely worth it. You might as well just try and be avoiding it instead of trying to challenge it. But there that goes. But either way, Square do have a track record, thankfully, of putting things on Steam even after they have adopted this recent Epic scheme. Like with Kingdom Hearts 3 and whatnot. It has ended up on Steam eventually. At least I think it has. I think some of the Kingdom Hearts have ended up on Steam. I don't know if all of them have. I don't know if KH3 has. I want to say it has, but I honestly haven't checked, so I don't know. I might be talking out my arse at this point. But they tend to get things to Steam eventually, even after this new relationship they've developed with Epic. And hopefully, they will see when it starts selling a lot better on Steam, and modders get added to fix their fucking problems if it's not fixed by then, that they won't keep on doing this stupid fucking deal with Epic. Because it's already baffling, the whole pricing thing, because, you know, they get a chunk of money from Epic to have the game being exclusive on their store anyway. That's how Epic gets anything on the industry. It's like it's not a secret. Instead of actually, you know, trying to be helpful to the industry, all they do is try and minimize it by buying out games to be only on their platform, so they can force competition by isolating things away from Steam, to make it so you have to have Epic to play some games. Which I heavily disagree with. I think the only exclusives that should ever be vaguely allowed is first party. And even then, most companies, I say that, Microsoft and Sony, have both started to adopt putting their first parties on Steam. Microsoft did it first, Sony are kind of only recently kind of getting around to it, but they are doing it. And so, like, even first parties, they're chucking them on PC, so there's really not an excuse for this exclusivity bullshit anymore. But here it is. This is the final phase. It makes this corridor with the fire, and you cannot escape it. I kind of cheekily push ahead here instead of really booking it away. You have to kill this thing before the second time it shoots this. Because the first time it shoots this, it's going to break this pillar. There it goes. And then after a few moments, it will charge up a second one. If you cannot kill it before the second one is finished charging up, it's over. It will end the fight. The only blessing is that it takes a lot longer to charge up the second one to try and give you the time to do it and to try and make it a little bit more intense. But once you kill it, you've done with this chapter. You successfully survived probably the hardest chapter to do on hard mode. Congratulations. But anyway, next time on the Final Fantasy VII Remake, we're going to try and escape the Shinra building with our lives. But until then, you guys take care now. Peace.
Cloud and Tifa could be dead already.
The hell they are.
Then we need to find a way we can all escape, and quickly.
You're right. Let's go.